Hey there, it's Stef. Welcome to the Stef Fox podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Stef Fox podcast. I'm Stef Fox, and I'm here today with Jen LeBlanc, my friend and a fellow salon coach with 124 Go. Hey, Jen.
Hi, Steffi.
How you doing?
Fantastic here on this lovely Thursday with my bestie. Can't wait.
Yeah. So, you guys listening, we, being Jen and I, have all sorts of conversations every day about salons, salon growth, leadership, all the things, because we both work inside of the industry helping support salons and owners and their growth. And so we wanted to kind of chat about a very hot topic that's been going on right now. And that is this idea of how do you pay your employed stylists a higher commission? And I think in particular right now, the buzz is around this concept of 70% commission. So Jen, do you want to jump in and kind of debrief what you've heard about this? And then I'll kind of add what I've heard, and we can maybe start to tackle it from a business perspective, and I can speak to kind of really what the research says around the motivational factors behind this.
Yeah, and so what we hear a lot of inside 124 Go, our community, what we read about on social media is, owners are getting challenged by their team members in that they believe that they build these books for their teams. You work for them 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, you build a clientele, and they leave. And there's this revolving door of frustration that there's an industry perspective right now that the answer is, the Band-Aid is pay them more, pay them more, pay them more. If you're a successful salon, you should be able to pay them 70%, and then they'll stay. And you and I both know that compensation doesn't even fall first on a list of work motivations, right? And so the answer that a lot of these owners are scrambling for right now should come from a place and a mindset of, we have to create that want for them to want to be a part of this. Where's the career path? Where's the opportunity? You have somebody that may work at a 4-chair salon and they're like, is this it? Well, maybe there's creative director. Maybe I have an educator. Maybe I need an assistant manager. Maybe I need a team lead. Whatever it might be, if we're creating opportunity for them that is a true career within the business, they're not going to be so quick to say, thanks for my 5 years, I got my clients, see ya. And the owner won't have to be so quick to say, oh my God, what do you want? How can I bribe you essentially to stay? And recently that number of 70% has been thrown around, and mathematically that doesn't work. That is from a commission-based, team-based employee salon, 70% commission does not equal success. Does not equal success. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think the first part, when I started hearing about this podcast and this conversation that's been going around, the first thing it makes me question is, what are we trying to solve here? Like, we're bringing 70% commission to the table, but for what? Like, what is the pain that feels so big that we think we need this kind of a jump? And my best guess, and I'd like to hear what you have to say about this too, is like, it's the retention, right? We're thinking if I pay people more, they would stay. Are there any other reasons that come to mind for you that you think somebody would want to pay a service provider 70%?
No, literally that's it, and they think 70% equals longevity within the business. And why would it? Why would it?
Yeah.
They can go booth rent and keep 100. Do you see what you know what I mean? Like, so what's the difference? What's the difference?
Well, and the first thought, and I want to get into like why the motivation should not be retention, because as a person that's researching retention and beauty, I can tell you full stop, the answer is not pay them more. But if I'm self-employed as a hairdresser, by the time I pay my taxes and self-employment taxes, there's going to be some level of range. I'm taking home, let's say, that 70% with nothing really on the line besides my lease. Why should I would argue on the employee side, if I own a business with a lot of overhead and a lot of risk and a lot of liability, why should I let you take home 70% with nothing on the hook? Go do that on your own if that's what you want to do. Like, I deserve to earn something out of this business for all the things I'm bringing to the table. And I say that as a self-employed person, right? I own my business and I am a hairdresser and I have incredible respect for hairdressers and I love hairdressers.
Same.
But from a business perspective, like if I'm going to take on the liability of owning the salon, like it does not make sense to pay somebody the same equivalent that they would be taking home if they chose to be self-employed, because you are not allowing yourself then to earn anything for the work you're doing at all. Like it does not make sense just from an emotional standpoint and from a financial like profitability for yourself. And then just very black and white, I think to myself, we have tough margins in professional beauty anyway on the employment side. People are scrambling to get to 3 to 5%, and they're paying 45 to 50% commission. So in what world does suddenly paying 70 make you think you're going to earn any more money?
Yeah, and so I have some data, because Salon Roots and Salon Studios, for the first 7 or 8 years that I spent with my office inside ends, we would collect data from the girls that were willing to share data with us, right? Because we wanted to know, what did the success career path look like? And if you ran a business completely clean, and I mean you filed your taxes the right way, you actually ordered, you had real color orders, meaning you weren't going to the store for the day for the clients that you had. Like you ran a real business within a business. The max that any one of those girls took home, and now granted this data is about 24 months, 3 years old, was 67%. And the low end was 63. Okay, and that was them owning their own business. So that's rent, that's their color, that's whatever, right? It doesn't even math for that. Okay, so how do we take beauty margins that are already, we're fighting for every 0.5% that we get so that the business can create additional opportunities? Do we think giving away another 20 or 25% solves our problems? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. And then let me just talk about the research aspect of it when it comes to what actually drives retention. So first, we got to look at the motivator. And if the motivator is we think paying people more is going to make them stay, well, then we can go to the leadership theory around motivation. And it very, very clearly in those leadership theories says pay and perks are not motivators. They are not intrinsically driving people to have loyalty. Is there motivation in a bonus or an incentive? Absolutely. We all want to earn great money. And so if somebody offered us a job that was going to be, 20% more commission than the next job, would it be appealing? And might we say yes? Sure. Does it have any correlation to how long we stay? No, none. So it might bite right at the beginning as a yep, that sounds really sexy. It does not correlate to retention. And if we
it's
actually
a little bit like
at
Chinese food. It's good for 6 minutes, and then you're like, shit, why did I do that?
or an hour later, you're hungry, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, if I gave another example to that, look at what we saw happen in 2020 when we had the workforce show up with a really strong desire for autonomy. And we had a lot of salons feel kind of backed into a corner around schedule flexibility. And a lot of salons just said, pick your schedule, right? Just pick what you want to work. Pick your prices. I mean, I saw all ranges of just free for all.
Yeah.
And I have many clients today who made choices like that in 2020, and they are struggling with staff loss today. Because giving somebody full autonomy as an employee does not equal retention. It does not.
No.
There are multiple factors involved in what makes somebody want to stay inside of a business long term. And to sum it up, it's their experience over time. So if I make you feel valued, if I make you feel like you're growing, if I make you feel like I care about you, these all contribute to an experience over time. And are there cases where when you get to earn a little more, that feels good and changes that experience?
Sure.
For sure. We should not be underpaying anybody. And that is something we have had some challenges with in the industry because margins are tight. And so I don't believe people ever underpaid, out of malice. I think they underpaid not knowing how to make it work any other way.
Right?
Yeah, it's been hard.
So, and I want to add something to that where there's two pieces here. In beauty, the majority of the beauty business owners, we make a lot of decisions, myself included, emotionally based, right?
Yeah.
When we talk about pricing, when we talk about, it's like, oh, I did some research and I called every salon down my street. You're like, well, what's your break-even point is different than their break-even point. They're like, what's my break-even point? You're like, well, we're going to help you figure that out. The autonomy piece, I work with a lot of salons today that gave all that flexibility away, and they're like, we're awesome, we have 40 people. Well, you have 40 people that average 19 hours worked a week, and you have all this available productivity time. Your math does not equate to only letting them work 19 hours a week. You're not producing enough, they're not producing enough revenue in those hours that they work. They either have to work more, or you need double the amount of people because of the productivity that you have available. And so everything boils down to math. You agree? Like this is math. And so when we look at, what I need to produce out of a chair, what do I need to produce per hour, what is my company's break-even point, so then I can build in my profit. I don't know where that 70%, where that I'm going to keep 30, I'm going to give you 70, and I'm going to run my margins tighter than how tight the margins already are. I'm not sure how that plays out for long-term success for a beauty business. When I saw data last week that said 52% of small businesses that were started in the last 3 years will go out of business by 2027. 52%. That's a huge number, and hair salons are small businesses.
Yep.
We are.
I mean, the fact of the matter is we're facing a challenge of not knowing how to really lead inside of a business. Like if your fallback is, I'm going to put this Band-Aid on called I'll just pay them more, and I believe that means they're going to stay, I would invite you to really actually look in the mirror and say, what has to change in the way that I lead? What has to change in the way I show up? What has to change in the way that I'm disciplined in the current financials of the business so I can find a little more margin to, maybe my higher performers do need to earn a little more, right? Maybe my lower performers need a little more development and coaching, and I'm not skilled enough at that. Maybe I sit down and place their numbers in front of them and think that's a coaching session. Right? So if we actually looked at how to develop performance coaches, which would impact experience over time, which research tells us is actually what drives loyalty and retention in somebody, because that experience over time contributes to how they feel about being in the business. You're showing up and coaching and developing them. They're growing. They have stable pay. They have this relatedness. There's three kind of core factors to like motivation. One is relatedness. Like, do I feel connected to the people that I work around? One is autonomy. Do I have some sense of choice? And then one is growth. Like, do I feel like I can grow here? All three of those things have to be in play for me to have a great experience over time. But what never has to happen is you have to go far, like radically out on one limb to say like, hey, growth means I'm going to pay you at the maximum top of the pay scale. And by the way, like, we should be doing a better job in beauty of building careers in beauty. And the natural psychology is if you come right out of school and start in my business and I pay you 70%, the second you have a busier book, you're going to think you should have 75.
Yeah.
Then you're going to think you should have 80.
Where do you get stopped? Right.
Where does it actually stop? And like the psychology is I get busier or more.
Yeah, I want more. Yeah, I'm busy now. So what's my next? Yeah. So where are you stopping? One of the things that I kind of pride myself on in 124 Go, and I know you do as well, is we teach and we coach to, if your artists, if your team members are getting what they want for themselves in their personal life out of their professional development, you will have team members for life. I will put that flag on the top of the hill my entire life. That means that my one-on-ones aren't meant to be designed. Too many owners look at a one-on-one as a task on their to-do list that they were told they have to do one-on-ones, so they do these one-on-ones, and the owners do them for themselves, right? The one-on-one, your PDMs, your growth huddles, whatever you want to call them, are for the team member. They're meant to help them get their something more. They're not meant for you to say, yeah, I do one-on-ones, and then you look at your team and they're like, and they're stupid. I don't want to come. I always cancel mine. Why? Because there's no connection to what they need out of their own personal life based upon their professional development. That's why we celebrate you buy houses, you get big girl car, you know what I mean? Like, you take your dream vacation. Roots, we do a really good job of celebrating those things, because that's taking, oh, I'm a hairdresser, I have to marry money, or I better marry somebody in a trade better than me, or else I won't be wealthy. We obliterate that at Salon Roots, because we have multiple six-figure hairdressers that are their main breadwinners. I coach many salons where the wives are the main breadwinners as the salon owner behind the chair, because of what we've helped them build, right? Like, nothing pisses me off more than they think they can't be successful because they went to beauty school, because somebody told them they should have been a dental hygienist.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go on and on and on and on and on about that.
You guys listening, this is like, imagine you're on the phone with Jen and I every day. This is how we talk to each
This
other
is
about
literally how
what's
we talk.
actually happening. Kind of forget we're being recorded, right?
Yeah, me too, right now. Shit.
It's so funny. Yeah, I think that when I look at the challenge, any challenge we face in growing a business, I struggle when the desire for the leader is like, oh, this Band-Aid is going to fix that big problem. And that's what this feels like to me. This feels like I have this thing that scares me, which is this underlying fear that people are going to quit. And I think that if I just pay them more, they won't. And that is just not going to work. It does not work. Research doesn't show that it works. Experience, and on my own experience with my clients, which are large, multi-location, like multi-million dollar brands, like, it does not work. And so to be coached to think that way is just really dangerous, because oh my gosh, could you hurt yourself financially if you make a rash decision in how you're going to compensate? And that is not something you can backpedal from. You don't offer 70% and suddenly say, hey, sorry guys, like, we can actually only afford to pay you 50.
Yeah.
Because you have a full
70%,
staff walkout.
In a heartbeat, right? Or, here, I'm going to pay you 70, but now I have to charge you this massive product charge. So, if it's not 70 now it's 50, because now the business isn't making any money.
We're going backwards, right? Because I think I really value, and I think a lot of our industry values, just compensation transparency. So like, we're going backwards when we start adding in the fees again and the things that make them have to question, well, what's my real percentage of commission? In fact, the opportunity again is to say, okay, what in my business isn't moving the way I want it to move? And how do I, as a leader, lead the change around that? And it's probably not a quick fix, like, just pay them more. In fact, I know it's not that, but it's never a quick fix.
One of the comments that I've heard too is, well, hairdressers believe that their client counts are down, client visits are down. And for some, that's probably true, okay? But the answer isn't to give them 70% of the watermelon because there's one watermelon, right? Wouldn't I rather have 50% of some peaches, of some of consistency, of some middle-aged, middle-sized numbers here, versus you're going to see less people, so you're going to see 3 people today, and I'm going to be okay with that. What happened to the coaching of getting, if our client count is down, getting the most out of that service per hour while you're with that guest? Where's the back part treatments? Where's the upsells for retail? Where are those conversations? So that it's not like, well, I see less people and they're seeing less people, and so they're making less money, so now I'm just going to give them 70%. That's worse. That's worse. You follow my math?
You're undercutting your own ability to grow, and you're actually you're doing a really shit job leading, because you're solving a problem for them without teaching them how to solve the real problem. And so what you end up solving for them is, I get to make what I used to make even though I'm not as busy. But that's not actually solving the problem. That's creating a bigger problem.
And what business in North America or around the world does that work? It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. And, again, we have very poor coaching skills in professional beauty, because we have kind of historically always thought that coaching is just to sit down and put numbers in front of people. And the truth is, if they knew how to hit a different number, they would. Like, nobody shows up to work and says, I'm going to suck at retail today. I'm going to really tank my consultations. In fact, what they do is they show up to work without full capability for things, because when they learned it, they were overwhelmed that day, and you barreled on teaching them anyway, or you didn't get clear on the expectations in the first place, or you piled so much on top of them that their capacity is at max, or something was happening in life the day that they had to come to the training, and you had a mandatory training, and they're like so stressed out about life that their nervous system can't take in any learning that day, and you never followed up on it. Or you taught them once and you think that they should know. Like, we are so guilty of that in professional beauty because we just want to kind of check the box. But then we end up with a workforce who inevitably disappoints us because they're not showing up the way we think they should. And instead of being strong enough and developed enough leaders to see it for what it is, which is your work to help them move to their next step, we just get frustrated that they're not already there. And then we start to band-aid what we think will get them there. We'll pay them more, give them the schedule that they want, let them charge what they want. All of these things that we throw out there that just kind of lead people down a path of discontent because, again, if they knew how to create success on their own, they would. They don't. That is our job. It is our job to be skilled enough to say, hey, you know, like, I would love to talk to you about what your goals are, and let's pick a thing and let's do the work, and I'll find the resources for you. I will help train you. I will give you the feedback. It's literally no different than if you wanted to get in great shape, you'd go hire a personal trainer. And if you
100%.
hired a personal trainer, the expectation would be, this person's going to tell me what to eat. This person's going to tell me how much to work out. This person's going to tell me how much water to drink. Like, they're going to tell me what to do because I want to be in great shape and they know how. And so if we go to work for a salon as a hairdresser and we're an employee, we're literally raising our hand saying, hey, I want to be successful and I believe you know how to make me. But every time a salon owner or manager in that environment leans out of those hard conversations because they feel uncomfortable, because their leadership skill is underdeveloped, because a person getting the feedback, nervous system gets out of whack and they get, you know, a little pushback or they kind of deflate or cry, then the leader shuts down.
Or the owner in capacity because the owner has worked a gazillion hours behind the chair and just doesn't want to deal with it. So how fast can I make this go away? How fast can I make this go away?
We land where you described, which is we checked the box and said we had the coaching conversation. Oh, we did our monthly or our quarterlies or our weekly. And look, if you're carrying low frequency energy, frustration, annoyance, just lack of energy into those meetings are ineffective. And your team doesn't want to have them. It's the same reason why team says, I don't want to come to education. They have things that feel way more valuable. So, like, what are we doing to make it fun? I mean, my challenge right now to all of my clients is, like, are you having fun? Like, is this fun? Do you go into coaching conversations thinking it's fun? Do you think the team shows up thinking it's fun? Because if we have gotten into such a mundane, like, oh, you're on the schedule for the 30 minutes and neither of you are looking forward to it, no good's coming from it.
No good is coming
Cancel
from it
meeting.
at all. Yeah. Well, and, you know, I get that question a lot of how can I be more productive because they don't want to be my friend. I've heard that a lot recently. My team doesn't want to be my friend. And I actually cite you. You had a survey, it was either last year or the year before, where you described what this demographic, this age group classifies as their friend in beauty. And don't quote me on this, and correct me if I misquote you, but I think this is what you said. You said a friend to them is somebody that they trust and that they believe in them, they're a mentor, and that the environment is safe and is a place for them to thrive and succeed. That is their definition of friend. Is that basically kind of like what you said?
Yeah.
Friend to us 20
exactly.
years ago. Friend to us in beauty 20 years ago is if you weren't at the corner bar with me smoking and drinking, we weren't buds, and so we weren't connected, so we weren't friends. And 20 years ago, that's what we wanted. If you didn't come out with me, you were like, well, what's wrong with them? Something must be wrong with them. They're not socializing with us, right? I mean, tell me, you were there too.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Now their definition of what they want out of that is very different. They don't want to hang out with us. And at this point, why would they? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to think I am 46 years old. Most of our team members are 21 to 24, maybe 28. There's 5 of us over the age of 40 at Roots out of 32 people, right? They're half our age. Literally, they are half our age. That's wild. They don't want the same things as I want. Why would they?
Yeah, but what they all do want that we also want is connection. And we want relationship.
Perfect.
And if you're an owner listening to this and your body is revolting at me saying like connection and relationship, then it's your work to check in with you on why you're not interested in that. Like, you have a wall up that is a disconnect between you and your team. And we are in a people that serve people that serve people kind of business, right? We get to lead hairdressers who serve people. And if your heart has checked out of that and your head gets frustrated every time somebody shows up in a way that's less than you expect them to, that's the energy you're bringing. And then they're going to keep showing up disappointing you, and you're going to find people are quitting. People are not hanging around long term. So the opportunity is really to look in the mirror and say, okay, like, I'm really frustrated as a leader. This shit's hard. I'm not making as much money as I want to make. I'm really overwhelmed. Man, this one stylist makes me feel crazy. Like, I don't know if I really like them. Like, whatever the feelings are, your job as a leader is to own the feeling and then get yourself regulated. Like, take a walk, do some breath work, put on a favorite song, get it together, and then bring your high level thinking, because you are the leader, and ask yourself, what could it be? Like, get curious, get possibility minded. Do not live in what it isn't, what it won't be, and low frequency solution. And 70% Band-Aid compensation is a low frequency solution. It will not yield retention. No research supports that pay yields retention. Not a single piece of evidence exists in that. And, you know, I quite honestly, I don't know a single other hairdresser that is in a doctorate program studying professional retention in professional beauty. So come at me with your questions if you're listening to this and you want to talk to me about that, because that is literally my body of work, and I feel so passionate about it because I love hairdressers. And I think if you're a hairdresser that wants to be self-employed, I think you should. If that is your path, go do it. And I think that hairdressing as a career, as an employee, is a beautiful choice. You can have an incredible career and not have to have self-employment. Like, not everybody's meant to be an owner, but 70% comp in an employee situation, if you're an owner who thinks that you should pay that, like, what are you paying yourself and why are you doing this? Like, where's your self-worth? Where's the energy you're putting on the line for this? Like, how are you paying you?
Right. For what you've created, you know, and we see a lot of, I will tell you from experience, it could take years to undo a decision like that in a business. Years. To mathematically come back from that, right? Because how are you ever going to rewind that backwards? You're going to have to start grandfathering people in, hiring new. I mean, you're talking train wreck that is going to take a really long time to mathematically and mentally come back from something like that, you know? And
I mean, you can't pay somebody 70% and then realize it doesn't work financially and then circle back and be like, sorry, keep doing the same amount of work, but I'll pay you less. No.
Yeah. No, it doesn't work. See ya. I can go do this at 50 other places and 3 miles from my house. So, oops, your mistake. Sorry, I'm not going to be the brunt of that. It doesn't matter how much I like you or the fact that we have drinks on Friday or we vape in the back room together. Nobody cares. It won't matter. Yeah. It won't matter. You know, it's like, come at you for the leadership, bring the math to me. I'll do it all day. I'll do it all day.
So I want to talk through advice for, first I want to talk to the hairdresser that thinks they should earn 70%. And so as a coach, what advice would you give that hairdresser? And then I want to talk about the owner that is feeling the fear of people quitting and considering this. So let's first, hairdressers out there that are listening to this that think 70% sounds pretty good.
To me, it comes from, they also have to understand, and we have to help them understand what a solid salon looks like for them to be employed at. Wouldn't you say that that's fair? Because 100%. If they understood what kind of environment or ecosystem is built for them to thrive, then the conversation around this is trusted and has data and years of experience to back it up, right? Social media, TikTok, Instagram have made the beauty industry look easy. Look, they're trying to destroy cosmetology schools, and some states are trying to deregulate, you know, education in general.
Yep.
Hairdressers are gifted. They are gifted artists. There's more math than the average human could think of that actually has to be done, right? They're psychologists. Now we ask much more of them. And I have a high appreciation for them, right? I can't do what I do without them, right? I love them. I love the industry. salons to me are like Disneyland. You walk in feeling one way and you leave feeling like the polar opposite, right? And so for the hairdresser out there, I want them to also understand a little bit of the business side of beauty for themselves, right? So that they know that shiny penny really isn't the shiny penny. That there's a little bait and switch in there. Is that fair?
Yeah. So I think if I'm talking to a hairdresser and you're feeling like, yeah, I would love to earn 70%, my first answer to you is, if it's about the 70%, go work for yourself. Because good luck getting your 70% to the same actual take-home revenue that being inside of a salon is going to get you to, because that salon has marketing operational systems, they have retention systems, they have training systems, they have, they pay your self-employment tax, or in this case, not self-employment tax, but basically the equivalent of, like, so if you are stuck on the 70%, you should just go work for yourself and experience what it actually takes.
You're not looking for community if you're not looking for purpose. Yeah.
If you think 70% sounds good, because like somebody comes to me with a high dollar amount, like I want to earn that, I would just encourage you as a hairdresser to say, well, 70% would yield me what take home? Like, what's the amount you want to live on? And do you want to earn $100,000 that it goes into your paycheck? Do you want $200,000? Do you want $250,000? Like, what's your dollar? Do you want $70,000? And then ask yourself, what's the work that I have to do to make that my contribution, or my contribution and the work I would do would get me that at home? Not the percentage that I get paid that gets me that, but what do I have to do, and what is the person I work for doing to coach and develop me to make getting to that dollar easy? Because you have work in front of you either way. You're either going to be like, you know what, I want to make sure it's 70% of whatever I bring in I take home, so I better learn how to be a marketer, I better learn how to manage inventory, I better learn how to get new clients in and build a great guest experience and schedule education for myself. And in that case, go be self-employed, and you can earn $50,000 a year and take home 70% of it. Or earn $100,000 a year and take home 70% of it if you're really good. But the flip side of that is, put your energy on accepting the knowledge from somebody that has chosen to build a business and grow hairdressers, aka a salon owner. Put your energy on listening to them. Put your energy on being like, hey, how do I pre-book better so that I need less clients because I have more transactions? How do I get more clients in, by being better on Instagram because you sent me to that class? How do I become better at blonde so my clients write me great reviews and send me referrals? Like, shift your energy. But you got to be the one that decides where you want to put your energy. And both paths are fine. Both paths are great. But don't get confused about that they're different paths. They're not the same.
Right. Very. No, they are not. They are not.
And then I would say let's hit on the salon owner who's feeling the fear of, like, what if the whole workforce wants 70%?
Yeah.
And I think that's the solution. What advice would you give that salon owner?
I think that's the buzz. I think that's the scary buzz around it right now, right? Is owners are worried that their people have heard this and they're like, oh, do I have to do this too? And for myself, and I know you believe this as well in 124 Go, you said it early on that if money is the Band-Aid, we know from years of your research and years of our experience that when people tell you they left because of the money, they didn't leave because of the money. It was never the money. It's culture, it's disconnection, it's that conversation where you thought you nailed it, but you were completely in the wrong outfield and there was no connection and you had many misses. That's why they're leaving. And so I hear, well, they build a clientele after 3 years and I pour all this money and education to them and then I get the middle finger and they leave. I say, but why? What was your exit interview? What was your exit interview? Why did they really leave? And all of those exit interviews never come back with, you don't pay me enough. There are core examples that said, you didn't believe in me. I didn't feel like I had an opportunity to grow here. I didn't get the attention I was promised when you hired me. I've been asking for more hours, and I was really just looking for more hours so that I can produce more money, but no one ever gave me the time of day to look at my schedule so that I could try to work more hours, right? It's never I'm leaving for 1%. I'm leaving for 5%. It's never that. And so in my thought process and how we coach to this is we have to be sure that we are providing something more. And even if you are a small salon, we have to be looking at how we can create opportunity, because opportunity is what creates longevity. And too often we look at revenue as like, I want to keep that. And that's great. We do need to make money too. But I look at revenue and net percentages and what I teach my salons, how many pennies on the dollar are we keeping? Because I want to be able to build other things. I want to be able to open your next salon. I want to be able to expand this salon. We might be working towards a remodel, right? I want to be able to create our next, and I want to be able to show that to my team so that they see that this environment, they can be a lifer and they will thrive forever, because they're not going to outgrow us, because we're not going to let them. And I think that's a big piece right now of what's happening is these artists are outgrowing their owners because the owner's leadership lid is here, and then these girls overproduce it, and then they're like, well, shit, now I don't know what to do. Well, they've exceeded your own leadership lid, and so now, you are stuck. You are stuck because you haven't continued to grow. You haven't expanded your capacity to fit more in. Mic drop.
Yeah, gosh. For sure, it's so good. And I'm, as you're talking, I'm just thinking, if you have a team that you're worried about quitting, work on your leadership, because that's why they're quitting. Like, that is why they're quitting. And it is painful to think about. And you will have outliers. If you're sitting there going, yeah, Stef, like, I do all the things and they still leave me. I mean, yes, you will have outliers. You will have the person whose family is all entrepreneurs, and from the get-go, they came into the business and you knew they were leaving. Like, those people exist. And we have a lot of easy access to go do our own thing in beauty. And there's a lot of social media selling that dream. And like, you'll lose people because of that who just don't know any better. And you could have been the best leader. But the truth of the matter is, if you become a better developmental coach, because that's really what leading is about, growing people, then you can sit that person down and become such a valuable counterpart to them, because they're going to associate all of their success to you and your knowledge and the knowledge you get them access to. I mean, I think about my coaches that I hire and work with for me. They're invaluable to me. Like, I go to them with so many challenges and problems and questions. And in my case, I'm paying them to give me that insight, And in our world, your employee is getting paid for their work and they get your coaching for free. Like, that's magic.
That's part of being employed.
Flip the script in the way you serve them in that leadership so that they actually start to go, oh my gosh, like, I could never be where I am without you. And I want to share kind of one final story on this that happened to me when I chose to sell my salon. I had one of my longtime employees who'd worked for me for the whole time I'd owned the salon call me 3 months later and say to me, Stef, like, I'm not growing. Nobody's coaching me. And you are the reason I got to where I am. And like, I don't have any goals anymore. And it was like such a moment of reflection for me to be like, wow, like, because all of us, even those of us that have worked tirelessly on skill development around coaching, which I have for, a decade plus, still you have moments where you're like, are they getting this? Do they enjoy this? Because people go through seasons where they don't want to be coached. And part of being a great coach is honoring a season too, by the way.
100%,
but so here's this person
100%.
giving me that feedback. Like, I know you're the reason I'm where I am. And that should be every single salon owner's like aspiration, is to recognize that their team attaches their success to you. That's when they stay.
Yeah. Bold that,
because they can't
highlight
see
it,
him
and
doing
underline it. Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, I couldn't do this without you.
Yeah.
And what comes into the mix of all of that is, yes, they feel fairly paid. Yes, they have some choice in some things that matter to them. Yes, their life feels outside of work, like it fits into work, right? Yes, they show up to work and love the people they work around and there's connection. Like, all of these things have to coexist, which is what makes it so hard. And that's why your job is the hard job. You're the owner.
Right.
You get to navigate all those parts. But man, the Band-Aid is not, let me pay you more, because you're going to be in a real pickle.
A real pickle. Yeah, this was fun. You're awesome.
It was fun. Any final advice for people after our rant when we get canceled?
Don't cancel us. I promise we have your best interest at heart.
We love you guys. That's why we're
you guys. Like, that's
sharing
why we're
our
doing
truth.
this. That's why sometimes you need to hear the hard stuff so that you can make better decisions, because sometimes people need to say what you don't want to hear, and this is part of it. This is part of it. I'm always grateful for you, Steph, my friend.
Grateful for you too. Those of you listening, if you enjoyed this, make sure you give us a follow, share it with a friend, and you're going to get this episode in my email as well. So if you have thoughts, just hit reply, send me a message, and I'm sure you can catch Jen on Instagram. You'll see her info in the show caption. So thanks so much.